I started making cornbread as the base of the dish. For the dry mix, I added cornmeal, flour, baking soda, and baking powder. For the wet mix, I added 1 egg, vegetable oil, cream, and buttermilk. I made buttermilk by adding 1 cup of milk and 1 tablespoon of white vinegar, and then I let it sit for 5 minutes. Then I proceeded to add the dry mix to the wet mix, and then mix them together to make the cornbread batter. I poured it into a pan and then placed it in the oven for 15 minutes. I set it aside to let it cool, and while it did, I decided to cut some onions, a carrot, and some cherry tomatoes. To cook the carrots, I boiled some water and let them cook for about 5 minutes. While it cooked, I cut some corn, which I cooked after. Once it was done, I turned the cornbread into a crumb consistency. I added some cooking oil into a pan and started to cook the onions. I added some salt and pepper to the onions, and once they started losing color, I added the crumbed cornbread and cooked it in low heat. Once it was cooked, I mixed the cooked vegetables and it was done. For this recipe, I first took 3 large carrots and washed them. Then I cut off the top and the bottom. Then, using an apple peeler, I peeled the carrots as thinly as possible. I then cooked them in a pot and added about 3 cups of water. I let it sit for approximately 7 minutes. While the carrots cooked, I added breadcrumbs, cream, crushed nutmeg, and salt into a bowl. Once the carrots were done cooking, I mashed them and added the mashed carrots into the mix I had previously made and mixed it together. In a frying pan, I added about 1 cup of vegetable oil. I then made patties out of the carrot mix and placed them into the fryer for about 3 minutes each. I took them out and placed them in a separate plate. Once they had cooled off, I patted them down with a paper towel to remove any extra oil, salted them, and then they were done. For the last recipe, I started with 5 cut oranges. I squeezed them and placed the orange juice aside. Then I added 3 eggs, sugar, cream, and the orange juice into a bowl and mixed it until all the sugar had dissolved. Once it was ready, I stirred it over medium heat for about 7 minutes and waited for it to cool. Then I placed it in a jar to place in the fridge so it could cool, and after about an hour of cooling, it was ready. So to cook the carrots, I boiled some ¿Aló?